Good evening and thank you for coming to our Chula Vista Elementary Council PTA School Board Candidates Forum. My name is Marina Beltran and I serve as the council president. Our council consists of 25 schools plus the executive board that assists them. PTA is one of the oldest child advocacy groups in the world. With the power of our membership, teachers, parents, and community, PTA has made extraordinary changes that impact our children's lives. Our mission is to positively impact the lives of all children and families, and to empower, engage, and inform our members and the public on issues concerning children and families. I want to thank Angelica Maldonado, our parent liaison, who will be assisting with questions. PTA is a nonpartisan organization and we do not endorse any candidates. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters San Diego for hosting and moderating this forum for us. With that, I turn that over to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Janelle Van Duzen with the League of Women Voters, and I will be your moderator for this virtual candidate forum. Even though we miss seeing you in person, we are reaching more people via Zoom who can hear directly from the candidates to help make this important decision on the ballot. If you have any questions, please look in the chat box to find out how to reach us. The League is proud to be nonpartisan, neither supporting nor opposing candidates or political parties, but always working on vital issues of concern to members and the public. Our Voters Edge website is your online resource for more information about the candidates, ballot issues, and detailed voting information. All candidates for local offices have been invited to include their information there at no cost to the candidate. Hopefully, all of the candidates today will include their information there soon. You'll find a link in the chat. The League moderates candidate forums using a format that is fair and balanced, yet informative. We have asked the candidates to keep to the issues of the position rather than personal attacks, because our goal is for the voters to be able to learn more about the candidates than they get from campaign ads and social media. The views expressed are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters. Sponsorship of a forum is not an endorsement by the sponsor or by the League. We are recording the forum and it will be available unedited from beginning to end to the public on our website, lwvsandiego.org. We ask the attendees to submit questions online before the forum, but you may also submit questions using the link provided in the chat box. Please remember to use civility and respect in wording your questions and frame them so all candidates can answer. Assisting tonight as League question screeners are Rachel McDonald Hernandez and Beryl Flom, and the screener from the Chula Vista Elementary Council of PTAs is Angelica Maldonado. The timekeeper is League member Scarlett Lopez, and our Zoom administrator is Kim Knox. We plan to adjourn tonight by 8:30 p.m. This is the forum for the Chula Vista Elementary Board of Education's Districts 2 and 4. All viable candidates were invited and they all are participating this evening. For District 2, we have Famela Ramos, Lucy Ugarte, Rick Valdez, Armando Farías, and for District 4, we have Kate Bishop, Laurie Humphrey, and Doug Wolf. Candidates will have 2 minutes for their opening statement, 2 minutes for their closing, and 1 minute to respond to each question from the audience. We will alternate who answers each question first. Prior to the start of the event, I used a randomizer to determine the speaking order. Lucy Ugarte will give the first opening statement, and Kate Bishop will have the first closing statement. So the order will be Lucy Ugarte, Famela Ramos, Armando Farías, Rick Valdez, Doug Wolf, Laurie Humphrey, and then Kate Bishop as we go through the opening statements. So Lucy, would you please give your opening statement?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in tonight's forum. I'm Lucy Ugarte. I was born and raised in San Diego County and have lived in Chula Vista for 25 years. I've been a teacher at Bonita Vista Middle School for the last 24 years. I earned my Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences at San Diego State University, where I also earned my bilingual clad single subject teaching credential. I have a master's degree specializing in teaching best practices. I've been an advocate for students, teachers, parents, and the community for over 20 years. I am passionate about student equity and accessibility to curriculum, especially for the most vulnerable of our students. I'm a proud mother of 4 young adults, all of whom attended the schools in the Chula Vista Elementary School District. It is a strong district, but like anything else, it can be made better. I am running for Chula Vista School Board because all voices deserve to be heard and respected. I want to strengthen public education, and that begins by listening and working in partnership with parents, teachers, and students. As a teacher and student advocate, I have served in many roles. I want to continue and extend the service to the community. The people I serve are always at the forefront of my motivation, and the choices I make are about them. I attend school board meetings consistently and review all documents prior to meetings in order to understand the information and ask questions. I'm experienced in Robert's Rules of Order and the proper procedures for meetings. I do my homework because I know that I'm accountable to many and want to make well-informed decisions. I have the support and endorsement of many local leaders, including Chula Vista Mayor Mary Casillas Salas, Southwestern College Board Trustees Roberto Alcantar and Nora Vargas, as well as Chula Vista Elementary School Board Vice President Dr. Eduardo Reyes. I look forward to answering any questions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Famela.
I need my timer, hold on. Keeps disappearing, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting together this forum, Mr. Armando Farías for his service on the school board, Ms. Lucy Ugarte and Mr. Vicky Valdez for stepping up as candidates as well. I'm also running for seat 2. I came to San Diego from the Philippines at the age of 2. I raised my 4 children in Chula Vista, one of which is enrolled in the district. I began my career as a pediatric nurse. I'm a published biomedical researcher, board member of Silent Voices, a pregnancy resource center in Chula Vista, founder of the Right to Try Foundation, which benefits no-option patients. I work with TSOI, a cancer immunotherapy company, and a nutraceutical company, which in response to the pandemic has developed a nutraceutical that fights against COVID-19. I also oversee their suicide prevention division and am co-inventor of a patent that IDs markers for suicide ideation, especially in our youth. I'm the host of Family and Friends, a radio show that reaches out to the community, a platform I use to discuss my advocacy. Education is the #1 equalizer in our society. I'm running to ensure that every child, regardless of circumstance, has a world-class education. My top 3 priorities are school closures and reopening, social and racial justice, and health and safety. As a parent in the district, I know that our kids are hurting emotionally and academically. We need to focus on ways to reopen quickly and safely and offer parents choices. As a woman of color, I believe that our diversity is our strength. We need to close the achievement gap with our English learners, our special ed kids, our foster youth, and our mixed status families. Because of my background, I understand the importance of maintaining overall health, whether it's physical, mental, social, and emotional, for our students as well as our teachers. Their health and safety matter. My life and career experience, I think, will add a much needed perspective to the board, and I look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Armando?
Hello, everyone. My name is Armando Farías. I'm the school board president, and today I really want to share with you my report card as a board member. I will share with you what we have done in the past 4 years. Excellence. Chula Vista, as my one of the candidates stated, it's an amazing school district that dramatically outperforms other school districts and other schools in not only in Chula Vista, but nationally. What impact have we had on our community? Our district continues to have a positive impact in our community. While California is a declining enrollment state and most of the district continue to lose students, Chula Vista continues to attract families because of our outstanding schools. Chula Vista has earned many, many accolades. For example, Chula Vista earned the largest number of gold and silver recognitions by the National Center for Urban Schools Transformation. Chula Vista has been identified as a positive outlier by the Learning Policy Institute. The group identified Chula Vista as one of only 8 districts among nearly 1,000 in California whose students were more than likely to outperform expected levels of academics. What about our budget? While other districts across the nation lay off hundreds of employees and cut essential programs that negatively impact our students, the Chula Vista Elementary School District continues to maintain a fiscally responsible budget. Our district is required to maintain a 3% reserve for economic uncertainties. Presently, our budget hovers around 7 and 8%. That shows the level of responsibility that we take when it comes to safeguarding our taxpayers' money. I'm happy to announce that just a few months ago, we provided our certificated and classified employees with a salary increase. The pandemic has pushed us to navigate in uncharted waters. Even though we're allowed to open schools, we have not done so because of data that we are analyzing. South Bay has the greatest number of COVID cases in San Diego County. For that reason, we have not reopened. I'm seeking the opportunity to serve this community, to safeguard our taxpayers' money and our students' safety and employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I hope you have a piece of paper and pencil and you can write these down. Number 1, my name is Rick Valdez. My email address is rickvaldez2005@yahoo.com. My phone number is 619-882-0636. I am available 24 hours a day. Qualification word. I have been teaching classes in Mexico for free for the last 10 years. One principal said that in 23 years of teaching school in the United States and Mexico, I am the best teacher she has ever known. Number 5, my goal is this. I want Chula Vista schools to be the best schools in the United States. Number 6, I have the ability to teach children how to play the piano in 15 minutes. I have the ability, this is 7, the ability to transform your schools into education miracles. Number 8, if you're a normal person, you don't believe me. Who can teach someone the piano in 15 minutes? I would love to prove to you that I can. Either I'm crazy or I'm an educational phenomenon. I hope you will call me and we'll find out which. I want to repeat number 7. I have the ability to transform the schools. Number 9, if your school is between Interstate 5 and 805, I can raise your school's math scores from around the 35th percentile to over the 70th percentile in 1.5 years. That is doubling your kid's math ability or an increase of 100%. Number 10, if your school is close to 125, your school's math percentage is around 69. That's much better than in the West, but it's still only a C grade at best. I can show you how to raise those scores to over 90%. I don't have a timer, but that's about right.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Up next is our first District 4 candidate, Doug.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Thank you, co-candidates, for being here as well. My name is Doug Wolf. I, along with my wife, Larissa, of 24 years, and our 3 children, moved to the Chula Vista area, and we have lived in Otay Ranch since 2008. All 3 of my girls are graduates of the elementary school district. 2 are now at Sweetwater. 1 is at UCSD. For the last 12 years, I have owned and run a math learning center in Eastlake. I've had the privilege and pleasure of working with over 1,200 kids and their families, helping them understand and improve their skills in math. Prior to opening the math center, I worked as an investment manager for a large bank in their wealth management division. I have a business degree from the University of San Diego, as well as an MBA from Cal State Long Beach. What have we done recently? Well, in 2009 and 2010, I was hired by a principal of a local school to come in and help out with some of the kids that were on the border for their test scores. The following year, when the scores were reported, I was very pleased to see a 50-point increase in test scores at that school. In 2018, I trained with the Chula Vista Fire Department, became a member of the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT team. Recently completed a training program with the Chamber of Commerce and a leadership program. I also am attend and volunteer volleyball coach at the New Hope Community Church here in Eastlake. And what I want to say is over these past 12 years, literally hundreds, over 1,500 people have trusted me to help their children, to improve their skills, to help them become better students. I'm asking for your trust again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Laurie.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this evening to address all of you. My name is Laurie Humphrey. I am running for re-election for the Chula Vista Elementary School Board. I was born and raised in Chula Vista and attended the schools in the Chula Vista district as well. I raised my two children here in the district, and I taught for 23 years in Chula Vista. I retired in 2013 and decided to run for school board in 2016. I felt that with my experience and my passion for the district and the city, I had an opportunity to help improve the learning for students. I feel that my last term on the board has been successful in the fact that I have supported all employees. As you heard earlier, we were just successful in giving all of our employees raises when other districts are having to lay people off. And we're very proud of that. We do support all of our employees. We brought back the teacher recognition and classified employee of the year recognition. We are so proud to have several teachers of the year for the county, the runners up for the county in our district. And I believe that supporting teachers is the best way to support our students. We just were able to give all of our teachers laptop computers, professional development for the distance learning. And we're so proud of all the hard work that they've done to close the achievement gap. As Armando said earlier, we were one of the outlier districts in the state, eight out of 2,000 school districts to receive this recognition. So we're very proud of the work we're doing with the visual and performing arts. And we just opened our 4th science station in the city. So we really feel that including all of these important things in our academic program is what helps us to be so successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Kate.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Kate Bishop. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm very grateful to be here tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Council of PTAs. A little about me, I'm an activist and parent advocate. I'm a 4th generation Chula Vistan. I'm the proud daughter of a public school teacher and mom of a special needs 6th grader and a 1st grader in the district. And I'm proud to be serving with in my 4th year serving on the Council of PTA's board. I'm also professionally a costume designer for theater, film, and television, and I serve on the Chula Vista Cultural Arts Commission. I'm really excited to bring art to our area. And on that note, I know the importance of arts and education, and I really prioritize our VAPA program. It's award-winning, and it still somehow ends up being on the chopping block every time we talk about cuts. Also, we are 221 days into a shared trauma right now. I really want to prioritize mental health services in our district, not just for our children, but also for our teachers and staff. And I applaud the work that's going on so far, but I really want to make sure that we have psychologists and social workers on every campus to address the social and emotional needs that cannot be addressed by every teacher in the classroom because they are doing too much already. And finally, one of my big priorities is communication. We are all partners in this, and we all want to feel informed. And I feel like we have not felt informed to this point. So I want to be helping everyone feel informed and increasing communication in our board. And thank you so much. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, candidates. That was great. We will now go to the questions. And the first question will go to Famela, and each of you will have 1 minute to answer. The first question: what do you think are the top 3 most important issues facing Chula Vista Elementary School District? And Famela, that is for you.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Lucy first.
She went first for the opening.
Oh, okay. Top 3. The top 3 challenges facing the district. Well, I think obviously the budget. Governor Newsom, he cut a lot of the funding for a lot of the schools, and I don't think we understand that eventually there's going to be an economic catastrophe. I mean, we need to be prepared for the decrease in funding. The year started off with, I think it was $6.2 million less, with $7 million being cut the next year, and $10 million the year after that. I believe in balancing the budget and making sure that that we make the right choices and the tough choices that need to be made to balance the budget and make sure that we're fiscally responsible. The second is reopening. Our students' mental health and is deteriorating, and I think we need to have a comprehensive plan that reopens. And next, the third is social justice. We need to bridge the academic achievement gap with our English language learners, our foster youth, and our mixed status families.
Thank you. Armando?
Thank you. I believe that presently we don't have just a pandemic. We have 3 pandemics going on. We have a health pandemic, we have an economic pandemic, and we have a social pandemic, which I believe are 3 very, very important priorities in our school district. There's nothing in my book than the safety of our students and our employees. The health pandemic, COVID-19, that we are dealing with has bestowed upon us the responsibility to ensure that we keep our community, our students, and our employees safe. Do we want to reopen schools? Absolutely. Our teachers, our families, we want to reopen them, but only when it's safe. When it comes to the economic pandemic, Chula Vista continues to have a healthy budget. And when it comes to the social pandemic, we need to ensure the social, emotional well-being of our students, our families, and our employees as well. Having said that, I look forward to continuing with this work.
Thank you. Rick, same question.
Thank you. Safety is obviously number 1. Opening the schools is obviously number 2. And the third thing is academic excellence. And as I begin to explain my first points, and we'll continue with those, there are ways we can really improve the academic excellence in the schools. I think there's a lack of focus on that. And sometimes there's a lack of focus on too many things. They talked about, some of the candidates talked about social justice or whatever, but what we're talking about specifically is the schools in the west part of the Chula Vista do not do as well as the schools in East Chula Vista. And that's, if you address that, and if you can improve the quality of education, that is the main, you got to do safety and you got to feed the kids and all that sort of thing, but that is the main emphasis that I would like to see. I don't have a timer again, so I don't know where I am on your 1 minute. Yeah, okay.
And Doug, same question.
Okay, thank you. I think the top problem right now is clearly the COVID virus and the pandemic, and having the schools locked down. Yes, they're doing the virtual learning, but that's not the same. So the first thing is getting the schools reopened safely, of course, for everyone, students, teachers, everyone that works at the schools. Second, I think, is academic performance. Standards and expectations I think are too low. I think they need to be raised. People will live up to expectations and standards, or they'll live down to. Lowering standards and expectations is an easy way to get a quick boost in test scores and people meeting standards, but eventually that'll flatten out. I think so. Again, I think we need to raise standards and expectations on students and everyone in the district. And third, clearly safety issues, I think. Safe in classrooms, safe on campuses, but safe learning policies. I'm talking about some of the material that's creeping its way into schools at younger and younger ages. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie? You're muted.
Thank you. One of the most important things we need to look at right now is equity. Equity across the board in terms of our approach to the different schools and the children that attend them and the backgrounds that they come from. Making learning accessible on all levels. Also, of course, safety and the reopening of schools is a huge important topic right now, as is closing the learning gap that is being that is happening right now with our distance learning. We realize that we're going to have to double down and make sure that kids have access to all kinds of extra resources to be able to close the gap from March to the current day. So I think that if we're working with our staffs and our teachers, we need to give priority to what the teachers need to make these things happen. They're working really hard right now. And I think that safety for them and giving them all of the resources they need is going to be a top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kate?
Thank you. Obviously, I'm with my colleagues here. COVID-19 is the #1 thing that we're dealing with right now. I believe in a science-based safe return. We cannot bring our workers back, our teachers and our classified staff back until we are absolutely safe for them to be there and for our children to be there. And also to give the children social and emotional support throughout this distance learning and in the time that we come back. It's extremely important. It is a shared trauma. Also, as others have touched on, the equity between East and West Side schools there is a gap between the schools on either side, and we need to close that gap. And finally, as a special needs parent, I think that we need to do better to support our special needs families. We just need to do better. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And Lucy?
Hi, thank you. In addition to everything that my peers have stated here in the forum, I agree with everything that they're saying. I have had the opportunity to speak to over 500 teachers and to speak to multiple students, hundreds of students, because I teach 7th grade, and ask them what they feel is missing and what they need. One thing is the communication, like Kate talked about earlier. We cannot have unilateral decisions that are coming down without any input from the staff, the teachers, and the students. That needs to be, that is a #1 priority. When parents feel uninformed, they feel frustrated, and that's unacceptable. We also need to make sure that we do address the social justice issues. I talked to a number of students who asked that, why is this the first time that we're addressing this in the 7th grade? So I think it needs to be brought down to a younger level. And again, all of that deals with transparency. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And this next question will be directed at Armando first. It's along the same lines. How do you think distance learning during COVID can be improved? Armando?
Yes, thank you for that question. I believe that distance learning, our teachers have been working very, very hard from the get-go. On March 13th, we asked them to pivot from in-person to distance learning in a matter of a couple of days. They have done an amazing job supporting our students. Having said that, we're not a distance learning school district. We are an in-person district. For that reason, I have spoken to the superintendent. I have spoken to the assistant superintendent of curriculum on making sure that we provide the conditions, we provide the professional development for our teachers to understand how they can translate the beauty, their art, and the inspiration of the teaching that they already have into a distance learning platform. I also directed them to make sure that they create a forum for teachers to be able to tell them what it is that they need in order for them to be able to do the job that they do on a daily basis, which is impacting and transforming students.
Thank you. And Rick?
I've been out visiting some of the schools, and none of the schools have anyone in front of the schools that are learning. I don't understand why the school wouldn't have at least 3 people and 3 students, 3 adults, 3 kids. They could be teachers, they can be volunteers out in front of the schools, memorizing the times tables, learning fractions. I'm a math emphasis guy here tonight, but all of the things that they need to be learning in person. Now, distance learning obviously is not the best, and wherever you can find a way to do it, and another method should be used. We can be, in my opinion, we can be tutoring kids in front of the schools in the open air with distance, with masks, and they can be improving their education a lot by one-on-one teaching.
Thank you, Rick. Doug?
Thank you. Well, assuming that we've got high-speed internet connections and everybody's got the technology, I'm not sure what else we can do, but I'll tell you what I do know. I talk to 10 to 15 parents a day who, if every single one of them is fed up with this. They're telling me their kids are not getting the academic challenges that they need and require. The kids are getting anxious. They're getting psychologically damaged. Luckily, they have some outlet. They can come to me for some help face-to-face every, a couple times a week. So how can we make it better? I think, again, with this age population, I'm not sure we can. So many of the kids are too young to be able to really manipulate the computer and the technology to do the things that need to be done. So much of the time, every hour is wasted on downtime.
Thank you. Laurie?
Yes, thank you. How can we make it better? We're all in this together, and our teachers are working so hard. I have an opportunity to visit and work with a lot of teachers, and I know that they are working incredibly hard. How can we make it better? We can be there to support them. We can offer them the professional development they need, the technology support they need, the opportunity to collaborate with one another, the opportunity to have their students taking the arts program that we have provided for them so that they can provide themselves with some professional development time. That's how we can make this better. We can support our teachers and we can support our parents. And our parents are having to work extra hard to be there with their students, and we can provide anything that is needed for them, and we can listen and help them. That's how we can make it better.
Thank you. Kate?
Yes, distance learning is terrible. I've got a 6th grader with special needs, and I've got a 1st grader. And listen, everybody feels that distance learning is terrible. However, it is better than the alternative. Until we can go back safely, distance learning is what we are stuck with. I'm disappointed that the district went with Microsoft Teams because it is designed for adults that are all on the same level of maturity, working with each other. I've walked into the class where children in my 6th graders class are muting each other. I wish we could go and change our platform, but since we cannot, at this point, I think we need more paid professional development for our teachers, not just giving them a book or asking them to show up to a professional development instructional on their own time. And I also agree with Laurie. We do need to listen to teachers, and we need to hear what they need, because teachers know what they need at this point and how to make it better. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Lucy?
Thank you. I think there are two main things that we need to understand about the distance learning in order to improve it. Number one, we tried to impose a system of normalcy on the distance learning, like if we were in regular school, and we need to go back and learn from that mistake. We need to adjust that. We're trying to put in-class learning into a distance learning situation, and that needs to be amended and revised. The other thing that we need to do to make this better is to mentally prepare our students and our parents for the fact that when we do go back safely, it is not going to be the same. And in some cases, that going back can be just as traumatic as being home and what we're experiencing now. When I look at other districts that are opening and they have 6 students in a classroom and they're keeping students away from each other, that can be devastating to students, and they don't understand why it's happening. So I think, again, we need to revise our plan for what distance learning is, and we need to prepare for when we do go back.
Thank you. Famela?
Distance learning isn't easy. My daughter was in tears the first couple of weeks, but I have to commend her teacher for doing the best that she can. I'm sure it's not easy for them as well. And making sure that all the students have a laptop. My daughter and her friends, they didn't receive a laptop. I had to go buy one. But imagine the students who didn't get one. Over half of the school is at a federal poverty level. What happens to them? There's a McKinsey study that cites that students on 100% distance learning fall behind, and that loss is permanent. But I do agree with the other candidates saying that we do need professional development. We do need to communicate with our teachers, and I think that's what we need to do.
Thank you. So this next question will start with you, Rick, and we're going to go to the next step. So under what conditions will it be safe to bring students and teachers back to the classroom? If there's no end in sight, what is your vision to help the students who are really struggling with distance learning?
Well, I'd like to start the schools sooner than probably everyone else. I'd like to have schools in class begin as soon as possible, which is almost immediately. I would have the parents who want to send their kids send them, and those who are concerned to not send them. So I would move that up right away. I want to mention something about two mindsets in teaching. One mindset is, my job is to teach the kids and give some A's and some B's and some C's. Another mindset is, my job is to teach all the kids all the concepts they are supposed to learn so that they know them solidly. All of the kids should get A's if the teachers will adopt that kind of mindset. And I'd like to get school started as soon as possible.
Thank you. Doug?
I think we can look at what other states are doing and other cities and other districts. Also, we can look at other countries. There are countries that have never shut down, and they are not having any problems with transmission of the disease from child to teacher or to parent. If there is a large spike, well, then we certainly have to continue with distance and make the best of it. But I like to see schools reopen as soon as possible too. Studies show that children are really not at risk here at all. The reports in San Diego County show that there still has been 0 deaths of anyone under 23. So I would like to see the schools open as soon as possible. Well, with precautions, and like Rick said, people that are concerned, they can stay home, but I think many parents are ready to get their kids back into school, and I think we can do it safely.
Thank you. Laurie? Laurie? Oh, you just muted yourself.
There, sorry. Yes, I think that the question was, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't.
Under what conditions will it be safe to bring students?
Gotcha. Okay. I think that we need to look at our numbers. Here in South Bay, we have 2 zip codes where the numbers are very high still. The children don't just stay in that zip code. They do traverse the city. And I think we have to keep in mind that we have to protect people. If one death were to occur because we went back too soon, we could not live with that. One teacher, one student, we have to make sure everybody's safe. Yes, we want to go back. And we know that there are emotional deficits because we're not going back, and academic deficits. But the main thing is we have to be safe, and we have to make sure the classrooms are set up. We're doing that right now with our PPE and making sure that their environments are suitable for the model where we can bring some kids back and have some distance learning as well, hybrid model.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to be able to follow the CDC guidelines. That's the first thing. The district came out with an updated thing where we want to keep students 3 to 6 feet apart, and we need to keep them 6 feet apart. That's what the CDC says, and that's what we should do. We need enough PPE to go around and enough adults on campus to support the students that are there. And we need to have our HVAC systems updated. We have filters in our air systems that are a MERV 8, which basically filters not much at all. And we need to upgrade to MERV 13, which is what is recommended by the CDC for the pandemic. And finally, we need to negotiate in good faith with our employees that work on our campuses. They know what they need to feel safe, And as soon as they feel safe, then I would feel comfortable bringing our kids back. But until then, I do not feel safe bringing our kids back. Thanks.
Thank you. Lucy?
Thank you. I agree with what everyone has said, that we do need to have personal PPE that not just is available when we go back, but that is consistently available throughout. We need to have a plan in case there is another outbreak, and what do we do in the event that that happens. I agree that we need to negotiate with our labor units, because I am hearing that, people are being forced to go back that do not feel comfortable going back. They don't feel safe, and that is important. As I said, I have listened to over 500 teachers and their concerns, and their concern echoes what Ms. Humphrey was saying. They're worried about getting students sick, not knowing that they're sick, or by getting those students as transferers of the disease to their families, and they would be devastated if that happened. So we need to make sure that all the safety precautions that the CDC are put in place, and that if we need to, we can shut down again and go back to distance learning.
Thank you. Famela?
Well, I agree with what everyone is saying, that we need PPE, we need to have, but we also need to have a comprehensive plan. We need to communicate better with the teachers. We need to talk to key opinion leaders. We need to talk to everyone involved, make them comfortable, ask the teachers what they need, offer parents a choice, and consult with leaders and come up with better plans that guide our decisions on common sense, facts, and actual science. And rather than fear and political science, the longer the schools are closed, the more harm it does to our children. And children aren't really affected by this. If we follow the guidelines set forth by the CDC, follow the safety precautions, I think we'd be okay.
Thank you. Armando?
Thank you for the question. I really believe that thinking about something being okay is not okay. I believe that we need to have the data in hand in order to make the right decisions. The district really recognizes the negative impact on students' social and emotional well-being, their safety, and their physical health resulting from the closure of schools. Yet, we are working with county and local COVID agencies to ensure that when we reopen, it is in a safe way. My candidates were talking about collaborating. We have been working with the teachers union on an MOU that addresses impacts and effects. We have been purchasing with the additional monies that we got PPE to ensure that everyone wears masks. They have a plexiglass and additional protective equipment that will ensure their safety. COVID cases, COVID numbers will be a determining factor when we reopen our schools based on data from Center for Disease Control. Thank you.
Thank you. And this next question, we'll start with you, Doug. If elected, would you advocate to postpone state testing and district testing?
Postpone it because of the COVID virus, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was no state testing at the end of last year. So if we follow that pattern, that would make sense that we wouldn't do it again this year. But state testing has always been kind of a mystery to me. The testing is done, but rarely, if ever, are anything done with the results. If a child does well on the test, great. But if they don't do well, if they do poorly on the test, they're still moved to the next grade. There's very little remedial help for that child. So things keep getting passed down the road. I think what we need to do, if we're going to test, we need to make sure we do something with those results. It'd be kind of like going to a doctor and having a diagnosed medication problem, but not taking any medicine to get it fixed. Well, what's the point of going to the doctor if you're not going to take the treatment? What's the point of the test if we're not going to do anything with the results when we get them? So I think there's some questions that need to be answered about state testing. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie? You're muted.
I think we have to take into account that we do have to hold students accountable for their learning, and we have to hold everyone accountable. Accountability is a huge part of education. I think that local measures are going to be important right now because the teachers need to figure out where the children are and where they need to be and be able to inform their instruction. As far as the state testing is concerned, yes, I don't really feel that state testing is going to be very beneficial for anyone right now, because there's going to be too much learning loss to really make it meaningful in any way, shape, or form. But I do believe that local measures are important. We do need that accountability piece is so important. And I think teachers need to be able to take that data and inform their instructions so that they can keep the children from losing too much of their learning right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate?
Yeah, postponing testing makes sense. We are able to continue to use data from online programs that we're using in the district. That's how we're following what's happening with our current students' learning loss. Talking to teachers and finding out where their kids are is a better metric. State testing has always traditionally been skewed, and there are better metrics for our kids. Local testing is helpful, but again, we're losing information now, and honestly, those tests don't tell us all the information. We need to talk to the campuses and see how those kids are doing from their teachers directly. I don't think that testing in general is a great metric for how a student is doing.
Thank you. Lucy?
Thank you. One thing that I'm coming to understand recently with these testing that's coming down from different government levels is that school funding is being tied to actually doing this. And so I don't think that it's appropriate to tie funding for schools based on these state tests. You can walk into any teacher's classroom, even in this situation right now, and a teacher can tell you what the learning loss is of the students or what the student needs to learn or do in order to go from point A to point B. But in the event that I would need to advocate against it, I have no problem. I've advocated against quite a few things that in the educational system that I don't think are appropriate. I also see students on the personal level who have meltdowns in regards to these testing and having to assure them that those results, that data in this case, is only being used to measure where we need to start from. So I do think that if I were put to the test, I would advocate against it.
Thank you, Lucy. Famela?
Well, I agree with postponing state testing, but while testing is a measure of how well a student is doing, we need to see how they're progressing. But on another note, there are other ways, as Kate mentioned, to assess our students. Are they engaged? Do they understand the material? I have one daughter who tests better than the other one, and we can't just use a one-size-fits-all assessment tool especially during these times when learning is at a deficit. Thank you.
Thank you. Armando?
Thank you for that question. Honestly, I believe that my job as a board member is not to say right now that I will suspend testing or I will not. My job is to ensure that the power of the collective works together to make decisions. My job is to ensure that we provide the conditions for teachers to talk to teachers, for teachers to talk to administrators, and to make decisions. When we're talking about state testing is one thing, but if we also think about the daily teaching of our teachers, they assess our kids every single day. An observation while our kids are reading, it's an assessment that provides the conditions for our teachers to tailor instruction based on the needs and the strengths of our students. So we have to be very, very careful when we say, yes, I will support postponing testing. Testing embarks a lot of factors that might be needed on a daily basis for our teachers to be able to do the amazing job that they do.
Thank you. Rick?
I am 100% in favor of testing, as long as it doesn't cost too much. I don't know what the cost of the state tests are, but we need to give the kids goals, and we need to test them, and that's how you do it. That's the basic thing. Other thing I'd mentioned from a previous question is Catholic schools in San Diego are open. They're open and functioning. One of the things that they do is they keep the different classes from mixing with other classes. So the third grade class only mixes with the third grade. The fourth grade only mixes with the fourth grade. So they don't have that intermixing that we have typically in our schools. But the Catholic schools are open. I think we can open if the teachers are willing. And I think I'm a big advocate of testing, and I'm opposed to grading. There's other ways to tell parents how kids are doing, but you need a goal and you need to test.
Thank you. So this next question, we'll start with you, Laurie. How should the budget be balanced in the near future?
Should the budget be balanced? Well, I'm not sure I understand the question entirely. However, I'll just go with what I'm interpreting it to mean. I think that we are in a very fortunate place right now. This board has been very diligent in making sure that we ask the very hard questions to make sure that we hold accountable our to make sure that our budget is a fiscally sound budget, which it has been. We're very fortunate that we have an economic reserve that is for uncertainty that is over what the county recommendation is right now. So we were able to give, like we said earlier, all of our staff raises in a time of economic uncertainty. And we're one of the only districts around that was able to do that. So we're quite proud of the way that we do manage our budget. We have a wonderful financial assistant superintendent. We hold them accountable and we ask the hard questions, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, yes, thank you for this question. We have a very top-heavy budget in our district. Our administrators make a lot of money, and I think that we need to focus as much money directly into our classrooms as possible. I agree that keeping a rainy day fund is important, but there are times when it's pouring and look around, it's raining. And I feel like we need to make sure that we spend the money to support our students the best that we can and not focus on higher pay for administrators.
Thank you. Lucy?
I echo what both Laurie and Kate said. The Chula Vista Elementary School District is in solid footing with the budget, and it's nice that they have a reserve, but we do need to look at this as a rainy day situation, and we do need to make sure that we are using it to its full potential. I also believe that as a board member, it is my job to make sure that I'm questioning and not rubber stamping every financial item that gets brought up to the docket to make sure that we're using the funding appropriately. If we're looking at 3 different firms, then maybe we should go with the one that is the least expensive or the one that's moderately expensive, not the most expensive, but to continue to question that and not just rubber stamp everything that comes across. And I do respect when those tough questions are asked, and I will be one of those asking those questions.
Thank you. Famela?
Well, I think it's great that the district can afford to have raises, but I think it's already at a loss with the cuts from the state. This year they're operating on a loss of 6.5 million. Next year 7. The year after that 10. And with most of the budget pressures coming from mandatory monies allocated to special ed, pension, and healthcare, I think the district is spending more than they're making. I'm ready to make the tough decisions to keep the district on track to keep on their goal of providing high quality education to our children. They said that there is a reserve. I think it's at 12%. 34 million is the number. At 3%, which is the minimum. That's only 2 weeks of general operating, and I think we can do better with the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Armando?
Thank you for that question. In order to better support our schools budget, I decided to enroll and finish a 1-year Chief Business Officer program because I am the guy who asks the tough questions. I am the guy who knows about the numbers, and I am the guy who is here to ensure that we support and safeguard our taxpayers' money. On a weekly basis, our assistant superintendent keeps us informed of our budget on a weekly basis. Communication is so important for all of us. The reasons why we have a solid budget is because this board asks the right questions, because we have a solid footing as to what it is that we need to have. know exactly what our priorities are: the safety, the health of our community, VAPA to ensure that we raise well-rounded students. We have compensation for our teachers and our classified. Because of that, we ask the tough questions and we ensure that we're in solid footing when it comes to budget.
Thank you. Rick?
First off, I'd like to congratulate the incumbents who have done well with the budget. If what they're telling us is correct, I am not personally familiar with the budget. I have two promises for all voters. Promise number one is I am honest. And number two is I will scrutinize the budgets. There have been in school districts a lot of things happen with their budgets that shouldn't have happened. And so my promise is to be honest, and my promise is to scrutinize the budgets. Aside from that, one of the main things I want to advocate is an assistant teacher in every classroom. Obviously, that's a great expense, but I want an assistant teacher in every classroom. It can be basically a minimum wage or 6 hour a day high school or university student. The AVID program does this extremely effectively.
Thank you. Doug?
As a business owner, I have to balance my budget every month. And in the last 12 years, there has been nothing as challenging as what I'm seeing right now. If I don't balance my budget, I go out of business. I think we need to start looking at districts as a business. We've got X amount of money coming in and Y amount of money going out. If the money coming in is decreased for some reason, cuts obviously have to be made. The last place we should be making cuts, though, is to anything that's going to affect or impact the education of the students or the safety of the students. So we need to look at areas outside of the classrooms, of course, and outside of the schools, secondly. If that means administrative areas or other areas that can be cut, that's where the cut should come first. Thank you.
And for this next question, we'll start with you, Kate. How will you work with teachers' unions to promote quality education and programming?
Thank you for that question. I communicate with people. That's what I do. For any meeting that I have with the district, I will also meet with the teachers and classified unions. I listen to teachers. I always have an open door policy. And I know, with my mother as a teacher, I see how hard that they work and I want to support them. So yes, every time that I would very regularly meet with the teachers unions to discuss the issues that are upcoming, what their concerns are, and always be available to both the teachers and the classified unions. Don't forget the classified as well. But I am an advocate and I'm an outspoken advocate, and I'm always there to ask the tough questions, but also to advocate for our workers because they are the backbone of our district. Thanks.
Thank you. Lucy?
Thank you for the question. I am currently and have been working with the labor partners, the teachers, and I communicate with the classified staff. And I would continue doing that work. Like I said, I've listened in the last few months that we've been, well, a lot of months that we've been in this situation, to over hundreds of teachers and their concerns for their students. And I think that we need to understand that that just makes sense in education. We need to communicate with the teachers. The teachers are, as a colleague told me, the truth tellers. They want to tell the truth. So why wouldn't we go to the teachers and to the staff and ask them what is happening, just instead of just taking the word of someone who's not in the front, on the front lines, in the day-to-day, doing the distance learning and the classroom learning. So I would definitely continue that and expand that relationship, making sure, like Kate said, having regular meetings on a consistent basis.
Thank you. Famela?
Well, obviously, communication, like everyone said, is key to understanding their needs, their concerns, and making sure that it fits with the vision. Teachers are important in our students' lives. I have to commend my daughter's teacher, and I'm really happy with how she's handling this distance learning. And it's hard on both sides of the screen. And to all the teachers out there, thank you very much for participating or doing the best that you can during this time. I commend each and every one of you. bottom line is communication is key. Thank you.
Thank you. Armando?
Thank you. As a former school custodian myself and as a former teacher and school principal, I believe that I understand education. As a school board member, I met almost on a monthly basis and sometimes even more with teachers' leadership to talk about teachers' needs and teachers' wants. As stated before, communication is the key to understanding. I think that we also need to keep in mind that in addition to the teaching staff, we have our classified workforce that bring a lot of value to our system, ensuring that the school sites are clean and safe for everyone. To sum this up, communication on a regular basis, ensuring that we have those structures in place that ensure a valid, transparent, and honest communication. I think it's a win for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rick? You're muted, Rick.
Are we good now?
Yes.
Blast. Okay. The question was about unions, and that sounds like a very tricky place. Communication with the teachers is critical, and that's really what we want here. There is a negotiating thing with unions, but the main thing is with teachers. I am retired. I'm available all day long to communicate with teachers. I want to visit schools. I want to talk to teachers. I'm impressed with other people who are running who have talked to teachers. So it is a communication thing, and that's what it is. It is lots of listening, lots of communication.
Thank you, Rick. Doug? You're muted.
I get muted. Thank you. I didn't know how I got muted. I didn't mute it. Chula Vista has some very fine teachers. There's no doubt about that. Some of them are even great teachers. But no matter how good a teacher is, without the tools and the material needed, it's going to be difficult to teach. So first, we need to reach out to the teachers to make sure that they have what they need. If they need books, if they need materials, no teacher should have to spend money out of their own pocket to get supplies into the classroom for the students, for all of our students. Also, I would like to see, and I would advocate for, I think it's time we could explore an opportunity to explore pay for performance as well. Great teachers should make more than teachers that are maybe not as great, but I think that's something that should be explored, and I think many teachers would like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie?
Yes, having been a member of the Chula Vista Educators for 23 years, and as is my daughter right now, I feel it's really important to listen to what teachers have to say, not just at the leadership level, but in the classrooms. And I have many, many friends out of our 3,000 teachers that I've worked with over the years and that reach out to me. I believe that being available to listen and to hear what their needs are, as well as the classified employee, I'm very approachable. Our classified president of the union even stops me on the street when I'm walking my dog because he knows that I'm a listening ear and I'm approachable. I think that we need to be always available. I've met with the union president every month for the past 4 years up until a few months ago during my tenure to find out what the needs of the teachers are so that I'm always looking out for the best interest of our employees because they are really what makes our district so successful.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. I noticed a new one in here. We'll start with Lucy for this question. Do you believe the San Diego Unified School District decision to change the grading system to combat racism should be implemented in the Chula Vista School District as well? Lucy?
Thank you for the question. While I believe that changes do need to be made to the grading system, I don't know that model is exactly what's needed in the Chula Vista Elementary School District or in our neighboring districts. But we do need to do something, and we do need to address the fact that in the grading system, there is inherent systemic racism that needs to be addressed, and we do need to look at how we grade our students and how we evaluate them so that they have a shot that is equitable and representative of what they're actually learning. We ask students to jump 6 feet high, and they jump 2 feet at the beginning of the year, but by the end they can jump 4, and then we dock them because of the grading system. Also, we don't all walk or talk at the same time, and here we are in a system where it's based on age, and we're asked to do things and master skills at the same time as our peers, and that's just not the way that it works. Thank you.
Thank you. Famela? You're muted.
I agree with what Lucy said about the grading system. There is an academic or achievement gap with certain learners, such as our English language learners, our special ed students, our foster youth, and we need to treat it as a case-by-case basis, not a one-size-fits-all solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Armando?
Can you guys hear me? I want to start again by stating that, again, as a future re-elected school board member for seat 2 for the Chula Vista Elementary School District, my job will be to engage all stakeholders on what decisions need to be made. Grading is a very, very important part of our daily teaching and assessments. For that reason, I believe that it would be fair for me to say that my job is to ensure that all stakeholders come together to decide whether we need to change it or not. Our teachers are the ones who are in the trenches every single day. Our administrators are there with them as well. So I think that my job will be to provide those conditions and that opportunity for them to decide what needs to be done when it comes to grading. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
Wasn't going to say this, but I'm totally opposed to any kind of grading. We should have a system where you have concepts that you want the kids to learn. And when the kids learn the concept, they pass the concept and they go on to the next concept. So the parents get a report. They have learned these concepts solidly and they have these to do. So if you want to compare that with the other kids, comparing kids every semester is really, frankly, stupid. Why would you want to tell a kid every semester that he's a C student? Why not tell a kid, you've learned these concepts, you have these concepts left to learn? No problem. I am a huge advocate of, as I said before, of testing. Let's test, but let's not test for grades. Let's test to see how the kids are doing and where they need additional help. And this comes back into assistant teachers. You've got a child who's not learning, getting a concept because he's bored, because he doesn't understand, or for whatever reason, or she. And you put them with the assistant teacher, and they can come up to date. There's really fantastic things you can do with assistant.
Thank you. Doug? You're muted.
Okay, sorry. I think this is another example of lowering expectations. And when that happens, people will live up to it. Made the example earlier, or sorry, one of the candidates earlier made the example, if we ask the kids to jump 6 feet, but they can only jump 4, well, should we lower the expectation to now they only have to jump 4 feet? Pretty soon, they'll only jump 3 feet. Do we lower the expectation now to 3 feet? Pretty soon they're down to 1 feet. So what's happening is like the term was a few years ago, it's a race to the bottom. I think we don't lower standards. We need to raise standards and expect the kids to live up to those standards and expect everybody to live up to those standards. The teachers, the unions, the district, parents, everyone has to be held accountable and live up to the standards. That's where we'll see improvement in child's education. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Laurie?
Yes, I think your original question was about San Diego Unified's plan. And, you know, I think that Chula Vista is really being proactive in this. We are conducting an audit, an equity audit with the Wallace Foundation and San Diego State University. And we have Dr. Tony Faddis, who is in charge of auditing our district to find out just where the equity issues lie so that we can then approach a collective agreement in how to work on equalizing these issues. So yes, grading is definitely one area where equity is an issue. However, there are others, and we're very hopeful that when this audit is concluded, that we'll be able to take a good hard look at where we need to place our money and our priorities in terms of equalizing the playing field so that everyone does have an equal opportunity. And so I'm very proud of our district for being proactive in conducting this audit, which is currently going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate?
Yes, thank you for the question. We do have a bias system that needs to be addressed, but the grading system that we use in CVESD is different than the one used in San Diego Unified. We give children a 1 to 4 in terms of meeting different expectations. So it's not the ABCDF that we grew up with. But let's talk about this. There is an achievement gap and we need to find ways to address it. I applaud the fact that we are doing an equity audit. In the meantime, we can set up different ways to close that gap. We can create collaborations between Sweetwater and CVESD for mentorship with high school and junior high school kids. We need to get a structured, culturally relevant curriculum. And also we need to do bias awareness training throughout the district so that we can really be aware of our own privileges.
Thank you. So thank you, candidates. Before our candidates give their closing remarks, I want to thank you all for attending and asking such great questions. Also, please attend more league events where we give in-depth information on all sides of critical issues affecting our communities. And now for the closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes and we will go in the reverse order that we started in. And Kate, you will go first.
Thank you again, not just to the League of Women Voters and the Council of PTAs, but to you, the viewer, who are actually looking into who you want to vote for and doing the research. We depend on you to have good votes. My name is Kate Bishop. I am a consummate volunteer. The way to look at me is I show up, I ask important questions, I listen, and I advocate. And that is what I want to do on this school board. That's it, period. I want to sit down with all stakeholders. The different schools do presentations each month at the district office, and all the board, unless the board actually speaks to the people at that school, all the board has to go on is reports from the principal and a bunch of test scores. I want to sit down with every campus, with the stakeholders, with parents, teachers, classified, everybody that is a stakeholder on that campus, and hear about what is happening on that campus so that when that presentation happens, I can ask the real questions. I can find out what the culture is on that campus. And I want to support our workers and support our students in the best way possible. If you'd like to find out more about me, you can check out my website, katebishop.vote. And I really appreciate all your time, and I won't take any more of mine. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Laurie?
Hi, yes. Thank you for this opportunity. It was a great job, Janelle, for this evening. I want to just say, you know, our school district is doing wonderful things. We are highly recognized nationally and internationally for the work that we've done over the past 4 years. We have an award-winning visual and performing arts program. We have 4 renowned science stations throughout the district. Our teachers are achieving at very high levels. We've been recognized as an outlying district in the state of California for closing the achievement gap. It's getting out to the schools and visiting the schools that makes a difference. And I do that every month. The experience really matters. I'm a retired teacher in the district, a parent, a grandparent, and I've lived in Chula Vista my whole life. I'm passionate about the children that we educate here because they are going to be our future leaders. They're the children who are going to grow up and run this city and possibly the country. And I really am passionate about the work we do here. I would love to have another opportunity for another 4 years. Like I said before, I'm a born and raised Chula Vistan. My father was a former mayor, and that's where I get my public service, my love of public service. And I believe that representing the public is the most important thing that I do in terms of my job on the school board. As far as my work here, I've loved every minute of it. I intend to continue to grow and learn because I don't think we're ever done learning. Lifelong learning is a very important part of everything we do. And can we be better? Of course we can. And that's what I hope to be part of as we move forward in the next 4 years. Thank you again for this opportunity. And it's been a wonderful evening. And I thank you all for the participants that were here tonight.
Thank you. Doug?
Hi, thank you. Thank you everyone for attending, the co-candidates, audience, moderator, thank you very much. I'm running for seat 4 Chula Vista Elementary School Board because even though the school has done well, like I said, 3 of my own kids went through it, they've done well. 95% of the students that I see come to me for help are in the district. I still think we can do better. I was at a presentation about a year ago, it was last October, where someone from the district said that only about 52% of the kids are meeting standards when it comes to math scores. About a little bit higher for English, but I was really particularly interested in math scores. About 52% were meeting the standard. So right away, that means about 48% are not meeting the standard. Now, there are a lot of reasons why that could be happening, but bottom line, we can do better than that. That's what I've been doing for the last 12 years, helping kids improve their math skills. I know how to do it. I will continue to do it. Again, I'm running for the 4th seat. I think our children deserve the very best education they can get. We have a duty and obligation to provide that for them and to them. If you agree with me and you think that education is important for the future of our children and our society, please vote for me. You can find out more about me. My website is wolf4cvesd.com. Thank you for your time again. Look forward to any questions you may have. You can reach me by email or there's a phone number on my website as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
I would like to give everyone listening an assignment. Homework, we call it. Homework is, if you haven't watched it, please watch the Ron Clark story on YouTube. Again, that's the Ron Clark story. Ron Clark now has a school in Atlanta. He taught Black kids and he took those kids to the very top levels. I know how to do that. I've studied him, Ray Pesquis, Jaime Escalante, Marva Collins, and other experts. As you recall, I said in the beginning, my principal here in Mexico said I was the best teacher she had known in 23 years, teaching in both the United States and in Mexico. I know how to raise the scores from 35% in the West area to 70% or better in a year and a half. I know how to raise it in the West, in the East End, from around 70% to over 90%. There's ways that can be done this. They're not being used in the schools. One simple one is flashcards. I'll bet your teachers aren't using flashcards. They're very, very effective. I want an assistant teacher in every classroom. I think that's incredibly helpful in raising everyone's standards. All kids can learn. Math is easy. Let me give you an example for a second because I have a minute left, half a minute left. There are 118 elements, which means there are 118 chemicals and 118 atoms. Basically, I'll bet none of you knew that. But as a teacher, it's a very simple thing to teach. And then you say to the kids, how many are there? And the kids all raise their hands, there's 118. And then you say, there are 13 that are named after geographical areas. One is named after Berkeley, which is 96. Then you have.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Armando?
Can you guys hear me? Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I want to reiterate experience matter, and I'm talking about the right kind of experience. In my opening remarks, I mentioned how Chula Vista Elementary School District is outperforming many other districts. Our school district is recognized across our nation as a positive outlier. That is no easy task. It is important that we maintain the level of excellence that we have and the service that we provide our community. While many school districts are hurting economically and cutting programs and laying off employees, our district reserves are higher than mandated. This shows the work that we have done to honor and to ensure our taxpayers' money is spent responsibly. I have over 30 years of experience in education, starting as a school custodian. Actually, I started as an ice cream kid in Mexico because I come from deep and generational poverty. From ice cream kid to custodian to teacher to school principal to district administrator, I know about hard work. I know about not giving up until all of our students succeed. Today, as director of HR, I work with over 40 districts to ensure we collaborate through the power of the collective to ensure we provide the conditions for all to be successful and safe. During this pandemic, we're threading in uncharted waters. I have the experience, I have the knowledge, and I have the will, the empathy, and the passion to do what's right by our kids. I'm seeking the opportunity to serve this amazing community. I want to continue ensuring the academic, social, and emotional support for our students and staff. For as long as you elect me, to everyone who's watching and to your friends, I will continue to be your voice. I will represent you. I will make decisions that are in the best interest of our students, our employees, our community. And I want to say this loudly, I will not bend to political pressure. I will make the right decisions for all our stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Famela? You're muted.
Once again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting together this forum, all the candidates, all the parents for their questions. You know, I think my personal and professional experience will add a fresh perspective to this board. You know, I advocate for many causes, including for children. I'm a mother of a child in the district. My medical and research experience, including with the coronavirus and mental health work, I think will help the district, especially now since we're in the midst of a pandemic, with this district being the hardest hit. I mean, my number one goal is to provide the best education for every child out there. Education is the number one equalizer. As the great JFK once said, children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. I am committed to investing in our children's futures and protecting our teachers for the benefit of our community. I'm ready to serve. For more information, please visit famelaramos.com or famelaforschoolboard.com. I'm Famela Ramos. I'm running for seat 2. It would be my honor to have your vote. Good night and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucy?
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and my fellow candidates. I think this is an example of democracy at its best. I don't believe anyone should ever run unopposed. I think that we bring diversity and perspective when we have different voices. Being on the school board for me is about doing and voting in the best interest of the students. Everything I do in my work as a teacher and everything that I do in my work as an advocate comes from that core. What is best for students? Parents put their trust in teachers every day, and the learning is taking place in the classroom between the teachers and the students, between the instructional assistants and the students. And so taking care of teachers and taking care of staff means that we're going to be taking care of our students, and that will give parents peace of mind knowing that that is happening in the classroom, because when teachers are at their best, they're giving their students their best. Being on the school board is about listening, and in all of the roles that I have in my life, I do a lot of listening, and I'm going to expand that. I've already expanded that, listening to the community and the needs of the teachers and the parents and the most vulnerable students who feel like they aren't being heard. Being on the board is about transparency and accountability. And I represent these ideals not only in myself, but I would represent this in voting as a school board member. I am doing this to serve my community. I am a servant and I represent the people that I serve. And if you talk to the people that I represent, they will tell you that. I have no problem separating out my desires and needs from the people that I represent. So I want to make sure that you understand that voting for me is voting for students. I thank you again for the opportunity to participate in this forum, and I look forward to your vote and being on the school board after November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. As a reminder, the views expressed are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters. On behalf of the Chula Vista Elementary Council of PTAs and the League of Women Voters of San Diego, I want to thank the candidates for running for office and attending our forum this evening. And thank you again. You are here tonight because you are following the League model. Don't just be a voter, be an informed voter. Registered voters will or have already received their ballot in the mail. Drop it off or mail it by November 3rd and encourage others to vote as well. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Janelle, you rocked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janelle.
My
Very
pleasure.
good. Great job.
Everyone.
Thank you. That was fun. So that was fun.
Great.
Nice job, everyone.